So hello everyone, welcome to our group presentation, which is about the food security and genetically modified food. And this is our group member. The presentation will be divided into three parts as on the screen. First, I will explain what is the genetically modified plant. The genetically modified plant is a plant which is transferred the desired gene from another plant by using the genetic engineering. This plant can withstand both abiotic stress like drought, extreme weather, and biotic stress like pests, virus, bacteria. Moreover, genetic modification can also improve the plant nutrition. Until now, there are two popular ways to produce the genetically modified plant. The first way is using the bacterium. In this method, the desired gene will be moved to the bacterium, and then the bacterial cell will transfer this gene to the plant cell. And the second way is using the gene gun, which is the device that will deliver the gene to the plant cell by shooting a metal particle, which helps the gene to the plant cell. After transferring the gene into the plant cell, the cells are cloned in order to create a plant which has a new gene.
Nowadays, the recent food crisis is huge and catastrophic, with half of the world population in risk of starvation. Contrary to popular belief, decade of distorted agriculture policies, inequitable trade, and unsustainable development have pushed the world food system into chronic state of malaise, making crises more severe. Despite the fact that hunger comes in waves, not everyone cries in famine. Indeed, the global food crisis has made a small number of investors and multinational business extremely wealthy, even as they damage the poor life and put the rest of the world in great environmental and economic danger. In 2020 and 2021, the COVID-19 is expected to have significant increase the number of persons experiencing served food insecurity. It's estimated that 270 million people in countries where its word food insecure or at danger of become so. There are two factors impact food production and distribution from nation to country: national resource endowment and human institution. Forest, water, woodland, mining resource, and diverse wildlife population is example of national resource endowment. How much a country can create for its own people is determined by the quality of national resource it has. Human institutions such as government, public policies, and humanitarian groups put the message to not only produce and distribute food, but also to import and export the food if there are shortage or surplus.
Hello everyone, my name is Thư, and me and Chang will be in charge of the second part. We will answer the questions why the productions of genetically modified foods, which is called GMF, can resolve global food shortage problem. And the answer about this is definitely yes. So why? We have 5 reasons to explain for this answer. The first reason is that GMF can bring improvement in desirable traits. Second, GM food is usually cheaper. Third, GM foods are not seasonal as well. Fourth, plant with GM method can survive in draconic environment. And finally, GM foods can help people suffer from starvation. And now, let's move to the first reason: improve desirable traits. One of the biggest advantages that GM food can bring to us is the ability of adjusting traits which are not really perfect or they need improving to enhance the quality, even the quantity as well. And scientists have utilized this GM method to target at enriching the fraction responsible for growth hormone synthesis, resulting in a faster growth rate and a larger weight gain on both cattle and fruit. This benefit allows farmers to maximize the profit and create more motivation to produce widely, which means that food can be available in many areas.
I'm Nguyen Long and I am the next presenter. So let's talk about the second reasons. GM foods are usually cheaper. GM plant had been adjusted and designed to grow with a fast speed, which means farmers can produce the same quantities of food with less land and water than traditional crop. So that's cut off the cost of production, and more people can afford to buy clean, good quality foods with a reasonable price. To the third reason, GM foods are not seasonal because plants are genetically modified, are able to survive well with stable status in any period of time throughout years. This assures that the amount of food supply will always be adequate to meet the huge demand of customers. All around the world, everyone equally have changed to approach the food. So foods are always available to consumers. That means that will reduce the issue of lack of food supply.
So for the next reason, with the world growing at a rapid pace, more food needs to be produced. By modifying this food, scientists can help create plants that can grow from the driest part of Africa to the coldest part of Russia. This will cause farmers to profit more and extend more food to more people. And this genetically modified plants that can be pest resistant by crossing genes. If this happened, there would be less chemical spray on crops, and this means farmers will be able to sell more and causing more food available around the world. For the last reason, our GMO can help people who suffer from starvation. One could have crops that have better nutritional values by simply crossing multiple genes. And this genetically modified seed can be sent to the third world countries who suffer from hunger, giving them the healthy food they need. This seed can be enhanced with vitamins, protein, and the other vital necessities. This would help people who suffer from starvation, and scientists could enhance a product such as rice to have all the nutrients that one needs to live. This could be a game changer, so consumer will be able to get all of the recommended vitamins and nutrients in just one crop. This is beneficial to all people, especially ones who are very picky with food. Scientists can help put the best and healthiest genes into one crop that tastes good. This could help the world's problem with obesity.
Hi guys, my name is Swan. I will say the next part, how to encourage the public to consume GMO products. Although GMO products bring a lot of benefits, people still have many concerns when consuming it. Here is the global adoption of genetically modified crop. In 2015, genetically modified crops were rolled in 28 countries. Up to 2019, it increased to 29 countries, including 5 industrial and 24 developing. As you can see on the table, the top 5 countries are the United States, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, and India. More than 30 countries have planted biotech crops since 1996, as we can see where they were rolled in 2019. There are 5 main areas that planted GM crops: Canada and the United States, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. Whereas the United States is the largest producer and Latin American countries are powerhouse producers. This is a guide to where GMOs are being rolled and reviewed for approval around the world, and the top 5 biotech crops, with soybean being the one that takes up the largest growing area, approved for import in 18 countries and planted in 9 countries.
The awareness of genetically modified organism goods is now high. We found that the problem is that the marketing of GMO may go wrong direction and a misunderstanding of GMO product. Therefore, to encourage people to use GMO product, our group would like to build a new marketing plan. There are 2 target customers. First, the young people and the people who's original about GMO. This means that they have a knowledge about the GMO and easily to receive the new technology. Moreover, nowadays the young people pay more attention to the cleanliness of the food they are using. Based on this figure, we can do some advertise marketing on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. For example, famous chef Gordon James Ramsay used GMO goods to cook on his YouTube channel. Upload the customer comment using GMO product on GMO official website. Marketing on healthcare websites such as Healthy Food Use USDA. Then is the second target customer, the older people and the people who don't know about GMO. Because they don't know anything about GMO, we have to improve the awareness of the GMO product by marketing many billboards. Next is giving the research result and showing the process to produce GMO goods on TV show and newspaper to change the wrong thinking of GMO product. Finally, holding product testing program on the supermarket, because supermarket is where people come and going to buy food. It makes customer easily to trying GMO product.
Another thing that we can do to encourage customers using more GMO food that a mandatory labeling GMO food law. This is still a controversial topic since companies that selling GMO don't want their food to be labeled for keep stigmatizing the product and losing customer. While the organic food company want label, so it will provoke safety concern that drive customer toward their natural product. But this transparency will allow companies to address a wide range of consumer worry, so they can have the trust from the consumer and also build a stronger relationship between the company and customer. Another thing that people want to know what they are eating, and they have the right to know if GMO are in their food. And so this labeling will allow consumers to have the knowledge and be able to choose what is best for their lifestyle and value. A research on consumer by two economists James Kolodinsky and Jason Lush environment a study of US after 2 years the mandatory labeling law took effect has shown that by labeling GMO food, it actually improved consumer attitude toward GMO products. So the people who saw the label were a 19% reduction in opposition to GMO food compared to people who didn't see the label at all. From this research, we know that labeling GMO is not making the consumer curious to know what and how their food is produced, but also give them a sense of control, so they will be less nervous when making decision of whether to buy it. And by this type label, consumer will know about GMO and increasingly have the motivation and the ability to research and uncover information about supplier and the ingredient.
Government can also play an important role to encourage the consumption of genetically modified foods. First, to encourage the public to consume GM foods, government can approve or loosen legislation that allow GM foods to enter the market. In developing countries, they are increasing through legislation and opening the door to research and commercialization of GMO crops. As a result, the market for GMO crops in this country is expanding. Besides, the government can encourage farmers to grow GMO crops or share news through news programs to create a public awareness about GM foods. For experts in this field, government can provide them with regional or international training workshops to raise knowledge and discuss strategy to promote GMO. Finally, the government can create a GMO website just like the US government launched the Feed Your Mind website, which is to share science-based information that educate and broaden consumer understanding about GM foods and correct misconception. So this is also the end of our group presentation today. Here are the resources we used. Hope that our group presentation has helped you guys to understand more about GM foods. Thanks very much for your attention.